Dominguez tries one more time. Got it. This improbable run, this joyride continues for the Phillies to the National League Championship Series.
And with that, the defending World Series champions are done, and we're moving on to the NLCS for the first time since 2010. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Phightins Final with your boy, Matty B, here on the edge of Philly sports. And I really don't, it's been a few hours now. I've had an opportunity to process some things, and I think we all have had opportunities to process some things. But you know what? If this is a dream, I repeat, do not want to be woken from it, because right now it is the best it's been in this town when it comes to baseball for literally over a decade. The Phillies are on their way to the National League Championship Series for the first time since 2010 to face either the San Diego Padres or the LA Dodgers. But like I said earlier in my little video thing, it doesn't really matter at this point who it is, does it, folks? It really doesn't. I just want to keep this thing rolling as much as we can and through as many people as we can roll through. 8 more wins to Xanadu and a possible world championship. But let's kind of bask in this for a moment. Game 1 was a surprise to a lot of people, to me included. I honestly thought the series was won in Game 1. I thought the Braves were kind of like taking down a couple pegs in Game 1 that they really couldn't kind of come back from. And obviously with Game 2 and the lack of offense, and then coming out in Game 3 and just slapping the Braves in the face in a sold-out Citizen Bank Park. The reality was starting to creep in then. I didn't want to go back to Atlanta for Game 5. We were all concerned about Noah Syndergaard pitching today. We were all concerned about the fact that today was going to be a bullpen game. But the bats, they showed up yet again in the weirdest of ways. Inside the park home run from JT Realmuto, the first time in postseason MLB history that a catcher has done that. Brandon Marsh got things rolling today with that 3-run shot. And then Bryce Harper puts the cherry on top emphatically for the 8-3 win. And what about the job Noah Syndergaard did? I mean, he only pitched a little bit. He pitched, 45 pitches, 4 innings, whatever it was. But he did an okay job. He got hit with the long ball, and that's all the runs the Philly pitching staff gave up today was through the long ball. They kept the Braves in check all series long. Pitching, folks, wins championships. And right now, as we get ready for the NLCS, the Phillies pitching staff might be the hottest in all of Major League Baseball. Nobody wants to face this for good reason. We've just slain Goliath as we move on into the NLCS. And there is not a better feeling in the world right now than what the Phillies have done over the last, 24 hours or so. And yeah, I do believe in miracles. And I guess we're seeing one, right? I guess we are definitely in the throngs, so to speak, of a miracle. Who do you start in Game 1 of the NLCS if you're the Phillies? Great question, because everybody will be back available. It'll be, I believe, 6 days after Wheeler's last start. So how do you not go Wheeler-Nola? I mean, honestly, how do you not go there? How do you not go Wheeler-Nola, Suarez, Syndergaard, and that 4-man rotation? And then, with everybody, with maybe Zach Eflin available for Game 7 if need be. I don't know. I mean, tell me something better, because right now it seems to be working. Chris says, let's go. I agree. Let's go, Chris. Let's go all the way. Sean, what's up, Matty? It's crazy to step back and think about what the Phillies did to the Braves the last couple of days. Reigning world champs, 5-time division champs, 101 wins this season, and the Phillies manhandled them 17-4 in the last 2 games. Super impressive. It is super impressive, and it kind of goes back to, Sean, what we were talking about yesterday and what we've talked about pretty much on this show all season long. It does not matter. It does not matter what your season record is. It doesn't matter how you got to the playoffs. It doesn't matter if you were pulled, pushed, dragged in, whatever the case was. All that matters is who gets hot when they get hot. And right now, the Phillies are the hottest thing smoking in the MLB. I don't know if anybody wants to face this right now. And honestly, I don't fear any team right now, with maybe the exception of the Astros, but which they're in battle in a classic battle right now with the Mariners. But I don't think there's anybody out there that wants to face this. They've gotten hot. This is the second season, a season in which the Phillies are now 5-1, one of the better records in baseball. First team to punch their ticket into the LCS. There's something to this team. I don't know what it is. The things that were wrong with them in the regular season are still wrong with them, but they're finding ways to get it done. The one consistent thing about this team all season long, and you've heard me say it over and over and over again, has been the starting pitching. The starting pitching has been there pretty much the entire season in one way or another, in one form or another. And it's continuing into the second season. And it's also now we're finally getting some hitting. We're finally getting those clutch hits. Yesterday and today were just masterpieces when it comes to offensive attack. It was a great thing to live through and a great thing to see and a great thing to continuously see over and over again, as we'll have a couple of days now till Tuesday to bask in this. So, yeah, it doesn't matter. You know, the Mets and Braves are now gone, on the shelf, on the golf course. See you in the spring, whatever you want to say. They're no longer there. It's now the 87-win Phillies representing the NL East and the NLCS. Let that sink in, folks. Wheels is up. Yeah, it should be him. It should be him. They owe him some run support and a do-over. Listen, I think he pitched well. Wheeler pitched well in game one. He did, or game two. He just, as you mentioned, didn't get the support. Thor came through for 3 innings. He did. He most certainly did. And there was a lot of concern about him going into this game. But like I said again on this program yesterday, I wasn't really that concerned. That's why we brought him here, right? That's why we traded for him for these particular moments. This is why he was here. Now, granted, he's not the Thor of yesteryear, and we all know that. And today he got away with some. He left some things out there. They caught up to some of them. I don't think he would have been much more effective more than what they let him in there for. But that's what they brought him here for. He's a big moment pitcher, a.k.a. Jamie Moyer. Remember when we got Jamie Moyer back in 2008? He was allegedly cooked. And what does he do? Or was that 2006 when we brought Jamie Moyer here? You know, he was cooked, right? But he becomes one of the folk World Series heroes of 2008. You just got to find a way to make it happen. Good pitch, that's how good pitchers pitch. Nobody pitches 100 miles an hour for their entire career. When that velocity goes down, you got to find a way to kind of supplant that. And, you know, Thor did that today. Again, maybe not to the best of his ability because he's still coming back from Tommy John surgery, but he was effective through the time that they needed him. He did his job. You got to give him credit for that. Jason Worth 2.0 came up big time. Everyone hits. Yep, he did. The most likely of heroes today was Mr. Jason Worth 2.0, if you ask me. Dancing on My Own is a repeat so much my wife thinks. You know what, Freddie? She understands. You know, it's a great thing. It's a great thing to see so many corks a popping and so much beer a flying, isn't it? It's just a great thing. It's a great thing. And we still got some more work to do. That's the really good part about it. What a great October so far, folks. Yeah. For a dud run of September, they showed up in every series. They did. They absolutely did. And there was this concern in my circle, which is me, circle for one, that you know, and I harkened back to that Pirates game back on August 29th when they lost 5-0. Then they hit the roads, Arizona, San Francisco, and just completely were outclassed in every aspect of the game. They weren't hitting, and then they weren't pitching. I was really concerned. And the way the season wrapped up, I mean, there was that concern there with about, 7-8 games left that they may not even make the playoffs. The Brewers are right behind them, but they did what they had to do. They feasted on the Nationals. Yes, they did. We ain't talking about that anymore, are we, folks? We're not talking about how they got in by beating the bottom feeders. No, we're talking about how they've slain the Cardinals and the defending world champions. We're not talking about how they got in against the Nationals. No, they did what they had to do. They beat a lesser team to be put in a position to beat the best. And again, we've said this over and over and over again. To be the best, you got to beat the best. And so far, so good for the Philadelphia Phillies for their quest. They've beaten the best. Literally. What's going on, Matty B? Dave, how are you tonight? I hope everything is going well. Ironic that the last team is in the first with the LCS. Yes, absolutely. The last team in the playoffs is the first team in the LCS. Very ironic indeed, Joe. Very ironic. How about them Houston game? Bottom of the 15. Wow. Yeah, it is. That's some good stuff. Can you imagine that? I mean, I've bitched and moaned a lot about the Phillies' inability to score runs this season, but I've never had to endure a 15 innings 0-0 game. It wasn't the Mariners. Oh no, it was the Guardians and the Rays last week, right? That went 14 innings 0-0 before they broke that open and won. Ugh. maybe we don't have it so bad after all. The last seed of Phillies take down 2 division champs, the Cardinals and the Braves. Looked like every player had a hand in these wins. It was great to see. Go Phils. It is all because of the pitching. I don't care what you say. I'm going to take this to my deathbed. Pitching wins championships. It's like in football, defense wins it. At the end of the day, if you don't have pitching, you're not going to be in a position to win. And the Phillies have had pitching all season long. That has been the one consistent, as I've said, in a very inconsistent season when it came to the bat. Their pitching was always there. It always answered the bell. And heading into the playoffs, I knew that the pitching was going to be their strength. And I know I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I knew Aaron Nola was going to be this in October. Absolutely not. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I knew Zach Wheeler was going to rebound because when he got hurt and came back, he wasn't really looking that good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was concerned with the lack of experience in Ranger and Bailey Falter and Kyle Gibson and not even talking Noah because everybody thought he was kind of done too. I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't concerned about depth, but the Phillies have found a way to do that all season long. Go back and look at these games. Go back and look at how they've won a lot of these games. And it's ironic they've won it on their arms versus their bats more times than not. So you never know, man. You never know. Oh, Al, what's going on? If the Padres win, they'll be the only wild card team left. If the Padres win, only wild card teams left. That's right. Only wild card teams left. That'd be interesting that the two teams in the NLCS would be wild card teams. Absolutely, Al. Once again, and I got to give Big Al props, man. Al, if you're listening, I'm going to give you some props. And I know you're a humble man and you don't like that, but back in May, when I was ready to burn the boats, man, 22-29, trade them off, fire everybody, let's go, let's start over. It ain't working. Al came on this very program and was very calming and said, "Listen, it's 162 games. World Series are won after 162 games, not after 55 or 60, whatever it was. You got to be patient. You got to let things round in the form." And that's exactly what they did. And you know what? Yeah, they didn't win their division, which I thought they legitimately had a shot with. But if you could have told me back in July when I was cursing the Mets and the Braves up and down, saying I want a shot at this division, you would have said and whispered in my ear, this is what was going to happen in October, I would have sat back on this chair and I would have been very, very happy. But that's what and I kept saying these to the Mets fans. You enjoy yourselves right now. It only matters in October. By the way, where are my Mets fans at? Where are my Mets trolls at? Where were the ones that annoyed me all season long? Serdar, I believe, was one of them. Where have you been, man? Come on out, brother. I'm ready to talk to you. It's October. No, he's not going to come because they're all cockroaches, man. Every single last one of them Met fans is a cockroach. Yep. You heard it here first. Good point on Moyer. Yeah, exactly right. I mean, there's always that dark horse. There's always that wild card that comes out of nowhere. Jimmy Moyer was cooked in 08. His velocity, what was his fastball? 89 miles an hour? But it was where he was pitching, not how fast he was pitching. That's what does it. LOL, Jamie, stop. You got my point. It's the same type of analogy. It's the same type of who here in this room in 08 was like, yeah, Jamie Moyer, Game 4 starter in the World Series, man. I'm feeling it. Who was feeling that? I wasn't. I was scared to death. Was it Game 4 or Game 3? It was here. It was Game 3? 3 or 4. You know what I'm talking about. Who was concerned? Yeah, he was 3 and Blanton was 4. Was that how you know what I mean? Who was feeling that? I had the same thing when I found out last night that Syndergaard was pitching. I'm like, oh, here we got Jamie Moyer vibes all over again. And it worked out. Frank says, Phillies and NLCS, the Flyers win. Now we just need the Eagles to finish off the perfect weekend. Yes, they do, but it wasn't quite a perfect weekend for you Penn State fans out there. Boy, what a man. What a game that was today. A game in which Penn State was only down by 2 heading into the half. They should have been down by 20, but boy, wheels fell off of Penn State in the second half. But you're right, Frank. I'll take it. It's been a hell of a weekend so far. Inside the park home run for JT. Yep. First catcher to do it in the playoffs. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Who saw that coming? Inside the park home run. Folks, let's pause from the stream here for a second. I got to get into the line. I got to do it. The Braves would finish their season with 3 runs on 4 hits. The Phillies with 8 runs on 13 hits. How it all went down at the bank today, I will tell you. Brandon Marsh got things rocking and rolling right in the bottom of the second when he would knock that 3-run shot, scoring Alec Bohm and Gene Segura to make it 3-0 Phillies. But then the Braves would come right back in the top of the third. Arcata would homer to make it 3-1. But then JT would probably take the lid off the bank by hitting the inside the park solo home run in the bottom of the third inning to give the Phillies a 4-1 lead. And who at that moment in time was like, this is it, it's over, take it to the bank, put them to bed, get the buses started, pack the bags, get them back to Atlanta, it's over and done with. I know I was there too. Matt Olson, though, would try to keep the Braves around in the top of the fourth to make it 4-2. Then Reese would single in Gene Segura to make it 5-2, a clutch single for Reese, who's starting maybe to find his swing a little bit. JT would reach on an infield single, scoring Kyle Schwarber to make it 6-2, and Bryce Harper would knock in Reese to make it 7-2. And folks, that was really all that's all she wrote, right? And then in the top of the seventh, though, Jefferson Monday would make it 7-3 with a solo home run. All the Braves runs today, courtesy of the long ball, and Bryce Harper would put the cherry on top of the victory with the solo shot in the 8th inning. 8-3 Phillies. Offensive numbers on the individual side. Kyle Schwarber finished the day 0-for-2 with 2 walks. Listen, he's finding a way to get on base. I guess you got to kind of start. You got to start there. Rhys Hoskins 2-for-5 with a run, an RBI. JT 2-for-5, a run, 2 RBIs, and a home run inside the park variety. Bryce Harper 2-for-5 with a run, 2 RBIs, and that home run. Alec Bohm 1-for-4. Bryson Stott 1-for-4. Gene Segura 3-for-4, and Brandon Marsh goes 2-for-4. You know what? I thought long and hard about who I was going to give the MVP honors to today, and I am going to give it to Brandon Marsh, just for the fact that it came from the most unlikely of sources. But that was the hit that, in my opinion, sent the Phillies into the NLCS. The energy and the electricity that I felt coming through my TV screen after he hit that jack was just overpowering. And there was no doubt in my mind at that point the Phillies were winning this game. So based on that alone, I am giving Brandon Marsh my offensive MVP honors. As for the Braves, the stellar star of the day, I guess Orlando Arcata, 2-for-3 with a run and the RBI on the home run. On the pitching front, Charlie Morton, who was slowed down by injury early in the game, had to leave, only lasted 2 innings, gave up 4 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. He had a walk and 3 strikeouts. So he left on the got hit in the leg with the Alec Bohm hit. So he had to leave. McHugh, Minter, Iglesias, Lee, and Jansen just did not do any good at all trying to hold the Phillies at bay, because it was really just a red wave that was going to overtake the Braves. On for the Phillies, Noah Syndergaard, 3 innings, 3 very effective innings, 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned on the home run. He struck out 3. Bellotti, Hand, Alvarado, Eflin, and Sir Anthony, come on in to get the bullpen win for the day. Brad Hand would get credit for the win. He's 1-0 in the postseason. Charlie Morton is 0-1. And there you have it, folks. 8-3 Phillies. And we're headed to the National League Championship Series for the first time since 2010, when I was just a little kid. Anybody believe that? Chris says he was at both games, and I've never seen Citizen buying sub and saying legit every pitch, everyone go. Yeah, and that's what playoff baseball is all about. And like I said to Al last night, my overarching hope for this run obviously is to win a championship, but it's to also ignite the spirit and the fever of baseball in younger generations of fans who have never, ever felt this before. And it's hard to explain that feeling, right? It's hard to explain what it feels like to go to a baseball game in October and to hang on literally every pitch, every single thing. It's hard for me to sit here and explain that. I don't think you can properly explain that or put that into words. It has to be experienced. And now, hopefully, we've exposed a whole bunch of younger fans to that for the first time. And it's a very contagious thing, folks. You know what I'm talking about. We've all been down that road before. Mine was 1980. I was just a little kid, but that feeling of just jubilance makes you a fan. It sucks you in. It's like a drug. And after you've experienced it one time, that's all you want. You want to experience it over and over and over again. It never, ever gets old. And when you lose sight of it for 11 years, you want to get it back. And I hope that's my overarching hope for all this is that we stop inviting all those empty blue chairs to Citizen Bank Park starting next season, and that we fill those with people from April to October. That is truly what's at stake here, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is. He was at Game 5 of the World Series. It can get crazier. Yeah, it can. Absolutely can get crazier, and that's a beautiful thing to be thinking about. Gotta love the Sir Anthony Dominguez with the slider clinching. Absolutely. Frank is tired of hearing the beat the Nationals, Marlins, and Padres at the end. The Mets, Braves, and every other team played them too. Phillies just happened to have them at the end. The other padded the wins early. Yeah, well, I mean, that's how you got to get into the playoffs, man. The Phillies don't set up their schedule. You got to play who they tell you to play. If we would have lost to those teams, we would have been up in arms. Into the 16th inning now. Oh, wow. Keith Hernandez has the nuts to claim the Phillies got the better since. That's a good point. I never thought of that. Where is Keith Hernandez? Can you throw out the first pitch in Game 3 of the NLCS? Wouldn't that be awesome? Jimmy was throwing great all 2008 season, though. Yeah, he was, but his velocity wasn't the way it was. He was one of those. He was he wasn't velocity. He was precision. He was a precision pitcher. He used his baseball knowledge to get him through games. He wasn't able to use his arm strength anymore at that stage of his career. And please take my Thor Jamie Moyer analogy with a grain of salt. I'm just saying, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying I got vibes when I found out that Noah Syndergaard was getting the start. I got Jamie Moyer-esque vibes from that back in 2008. That's all I'm trying to say. JT's inside the Parker was a nail in the coffin. It was. Al says the Padre games moved to 10:07. Is that to supplant what's going on down there in Seattle, I would imagine? Like I said, take care of business at home. You did, Walter, and they did. They did, Walter. They did. Thank you, only grown-ups way to use their Barcelo well. What's our chances in the next round? Don't watch baseball. Quentin, that's a great question. Our chances in the next round are just about as they were in this round, and just about as they were in the first round. It's about who's going to be hotter. There was a lot of talk around these parts after we beat St. Louis, but now we got the Braves. We can't beat the Braves. And there's going to be some talk about maybe the Dodgers in the next round as well, if the Dodgers can't get past the Padres. But I tell you this, Quentin, from the bottom of my Phillies baseball heart, when you have a hot team, a team that's playing the way they are right now, a team that really is starting to believe, or that they do believe that they can't lose, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can play the 27 Yankees. It's not going to matter because they're going to go in thinking they have an opportunity to win. That is what this is all about. That's what playoff baseball is. That's what happened in 19 to the Nationals. That's what happened in 21 to the Braves, 2 wild card teams that didn't have no business doing or being where they were, but they got hot at the right time. And you know what? Why not the Phillies? Why not us? We got a lot more work to do, but I am not concerned. I am not fearing an opponent. I'm not. I believe. I've believed all season. And it's a great place to be. It's an awesome place to be. Chris says Angels in the outfield in the bank. Potentially. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe there's Angels in the outfield. Maybe that's why Topper's so level-headed and doesn't blow up. It was because he made a deal with the Angels, just like in the movie where if you yell or curse, they fly away. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that, Chris. I agree. Honestly, anyone is fair game. Absolutely. Now, there's some definite competition in the American League, and I'll give the Astros and the Yankees and all those teams their due. But I'm not necessarily concerned about that right now. I'm concerned about the National League Championship Series, and we'll get to the World Series if and when that's where our fate is. But I don't fear anything that the National League has left to offer. I don't. I really don't. And the beautiful part about all of this, starting on Tuesday, is we get to play at least 4 more games. I get to come back at you for at least 4 more Phightins finals for this season. A crazy ride that I've been on since March. That's the most beautiful thing about this, is that baseball will continue through this month and for at least 4 more games. So that's really all I'm concerned about. And it's a beautiful thing. Folks, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for, again, coming along with me tonight on this ride. And then for those of you, and most of you have been with me throughout the entire season. It has been an amazing journey, and I'm so glad that we continue on it tonight. And it takes us now to the West Coast. It takes us now to either LA or San Diego. It takes us now to what now the stakes get really high. So it was awesome. It's been awesome. And here's looking to the next 4 games. The Phillies are in the NLCS. We await the winner of the Padres and Dodgers series. It will start on Tuesday night out there in either LA or San Diego. Until we talk again, folks, let's go Phils. I think I'm good. Have I heard from everybody? Oh, no, I have not. Harry the K, what you got?